This man is called Aaron. He is a self-made billionaire. From being a former tailor to becoming a clothing industry tycoon, he is definitely a winner in life. He married a beautiful woman, and they have a lovely daughter. Their life is prosperous. However, recently he has been troubled. The reason is simple. His daughter is about to go to kindergarten. The whole family is worried. 2 months in advance, his wife dragged him around for inspections. Because they have the money, the couple decided to provide their daughter with the highest quality education. They are considering top-notch schools. The first school advocates for happy education. The second school is extremely luxurious, comparable to a 5-star hotel. But there's something even more extraordinary. The playground has been converted into a racetrack. From a distance, the main teaching building looks like a political building. They didn't fancy any of these options. Their goal is Delhi Grammar School, ranked first. Many Indian political and business tycoons graduate from there. It can be said that entering this school is like opening the door to high society. However, they only admit children living within a 3-kilometer radius. Regarding this, Aaron's wife Lisa had already come up with a strategy. Since they have money at home anyway, buying a house nearby is very simple. But Aaron disagreed. As a result, that night, his wife went on a hunger strike. Unable to resist his wife's demands, Aaron spent a huge sum of money to buy a house in the school district. He bid farewell to his neighbors of many years with tears. His wife was somewhat dissatisfied, saying, "I didn't see you cry like this when I got married." They moved to the school district's affluent area, but the neighbors there were cold and didn't greet each other. Aaron started to miss the old neighborhood full of warmth and human touch. He felt uncomfortable. To help him integrate quickly into the environment, his wife decided to host a dinner party at home. The main purpose was to expand their social network for their daughter's future. The guests at the party were all high society individuals, and the nouveau riche felt out of place. He couldn't adapt to the caviar that the ladies loved to eat, and he even spoke in an Indian dialect. He even danced ethnic dances with his daughter. The expressions of the neighbors were subtle, clearly treating them as a joke. This made his wife lose face, so she turned off the power abruptly and ended the party. Their daughter also didn't make any new friends, because she spoke in an Indian dialect, and the parents didn't allow their children to play with her. All of this ignited a blazing fury in his wife. She held her breath, and was determined to send their daughter to the best school. The day for kindergarten enrollment arrived, and even before dawn, Aaron was already in line at the school gate. Little did he know, there was already a long queue formed, and some people had even slept there the whole night without going to the restroom. And this was just the first step, merely obtaining the application form. Through a friend's introduction, they found an education consultant to tailor a personalized study plan for their daughter. Every day was extremely packed, and they even had very little time for sleep. Not only that, the couple had to undergo training as well. First, they sought help from a writer to learn conversational skills. Then they consulted a designer to improve their aesthetic sense. They repeatedly simulated interview scenarios. Despite all this, the husband performed terribly in the interviews, fully displaying his parvenu attributes. As expected, none of the schools accepted their daughter. Seeing his wife distraught, Aaron began to consider unscrupulous methods, such as seeking a recommendation letter from a high-ranking official. But he was told that the school principal doesn't entertain such favors. He prepared to bribe with money, only to find that this approach wouldn't work either. Just as he was about to give up, the consultant gave him an idea: to seize a spot reserved for the school's poverty alleviation program, and pretend to be poor. These are the most determined parents in all of India. Although they are incredibly wealthy, they moved from a luxury mansion to a slum, all for the sake of securing a spot for their daughter as a poverty-stricken student, so she can attend a prestigious school. They spread the word everywhere that they were going on a trip abroad, posting pictures online, but in reality, they quietly moved into the slum, pretending to be poor. As soon as they got off the car, the wife stepped on cow dung. However, the neighbors here are extremely warm-hearted. They helped with moving their belongings, and even gave candies to their daughter. But the wife scolded their daughter and forbade her from eating the candies, fearing they were not clean in the slum. This also angered the neighbors, and everyone dispersed. The conditions in the slum are extremely harsh. They have to guard against mosquitoes, and be careful of rats. What's even worse is that the water supply here is limited. The husband went to use the restroom, but got trapped inside because there was no water. Lisa carried an iron bucket and went around asking the neighbors for water, but due to the previous unpleasant incident, no one was willing to lend her water. At that moment, a man came out carrying 2 buckets of water. He was willing to lend water to Lisa, and loudly reprimanded the heartless neighbors. This man's name is Jack. Lisa's family quickly became acquainted with Jack, and learned that his son also applied to Delhi Grammar School. One day, the vice principal made a surprise inspection to prevent wealthy individuals from taking up spots reserved for poverty-stricken students. Upon arrival, the vice principal noticed that Aaron's hands were extremely soft, while the poor people had calloused hands. This raised suspicions for the vice principal. After inspecting their house, the vice principal discovered mineral water and pizza, things that should never appear in a slum. They were caught red-handed, but it was Jack's words that resolved the situation for them. He suspected that Aaron's family must be wealthy people pretending to be bankrupt. It was a ready-made excuse, and both Aaron and his wife agreed wholeheartedly. This made the vice principal dispel his suspicions, but he said he would come back for another inspection in a month. Next, the wealthy couple had to follow the poor people and learn how to live like them. The first step was to find a job. Early in the morning, Aaron followed Jack to squeeze onto a crowded bus and went to work at a factory. However, the assembly line was too fast-paced, and Aaron was in a mess, spilling all the biscuits on the floor. Ignoring the supervisor's warning about deducting wages, he insisted on using the restroom. At the end of the day, he earned less than what he lost. Fortunately, Jack gave half of his own salary to Aaron, saying that a man should not return home empty-handed. Aaron's family became closer to Jack, and at the same time, they experienced the joy of living here. When their daughter fell down, Lisa instinctively wanted to help, but another child had already helped her up. Every evening, everyone would gather together to dance. Although the conditions here were much worse than in the affluent area, they had a long-lost sense of warmth. A month quickly passed, and the vice principal came to Aaron's house again. This time, he brought good news. Their daughter was accepted. Jack's son was also accepted, but before they could rejoice, the principal mentioned a payment of 20,000 rupees. Aaron readily agreed, while Jack lamented in distress, saying it was supposed to be free. The principal quickly explained that it was an extracurricular activity fee. For Jack, it was a huge sum of money, but for Aaron, it was only enough to buy a piece of clothing. That evening, Aaron went to the bank to withdraw money with his bank card, but to his carelessness, Jack discovered it, and Jack asked him what he was doing here in the middle of the night. The wealthy man was afraid of his wealthy identity being exposed, so he had to say he was stealing money. Jack quickly grabbed him, saying there are surveillance cameras here, and immediately took him away, not even letting him take the card. After leaving the bank, the poor man kept teaching him, saying that even for the sake of their children's tuition, they couldn't rob a bank. While they were talking, suddenly Jack was hit by a car and fell to the ground. Fortunately, it was just some scratches. Now the wealthy man's daughter's tuition was secured. In the hospital, he gave the money he had just extorted to the wealthy man. It turned out that Jack did it intentionally. As he watched him limp away, the wealthy man felt uneasy in his heart. However, at this time, some changes occurred at the school. The number of poor students admitted this year will be reduced by 10, and the remaining spots will be decided by drawing lots. The names of the children were called out one by one, and the wealthy man's daughter was among them, but Jack's son was not selected. Although Jack tried to hide it, he still shed tears. The hearts of the wealthy couple were filled with mixed feelings. It turned out that in order for their daughter to be selected, they bribed the staff. Their daughter would definitely be on the admission list, but it meant that a poor child would lose the opportunity to attend a prestigious school. This child might be Jack's son. With infinite guilt towards Jack, they lied and claimed to have found jobs, and said they would move out of the slums. After saying goodbye to their neighbors, the family returned to their mansion. However, they were always troubled by their conscience. The couple decided to inspect the school again, but this time, it was to provide support to a public school. Here, Aaron saw that, although there were no good educational resources, the children were still talented in various ways. The school was soon renovated, and Jack's son obtained the qualification for free enrollment. To express gratitude to this benefactor, Jack went to their door with a gift to say thank you, but he didn't expect the benefactor to be Aaron. As he looked at this beautiful mansion, he suddenly understood everything. He was very angry, and ran all the way, wanting to go to the school to report Aaron. But when he saw Aaron's daughter, he dismissed the idea. For him, the child was innocent. He gave up on reporting Aaron's family. In that moment, Aaron felt immense guilt. He rushed to the principal's office and confessed his wrongdoing, attempting to return the spot to Jack. But to everyone's surprise, the seemingly upright female principal remained incredibly calm upon hearing the matter, saying that the school needed parents like Aaron, treating education as a business transaction. But can a school like this really educate his daughter well? Aaron already had the answer. He completed the withdrawal procedures for his daughter and enrolled her in a public school. Lisa also supported her husband's decision, realizing that what truly determines a child's future is not the prestigious school background, but the noble qualities within their character, sharing joy and kindness.